Hey everyone, Theo here. Today I'm reviewing the Bigme Pocket Note B751C, which is a 7-inch color e-ink e-reader. First of all, a disclaimer, this is a review unit provided by the company, and in this video I'll just present to you my findings so that you can decide whether this is worth the money. The price of this tablet with the case and stylus included is $269, which may or may not include free shipping depending on your location. And if you just want to buy the tablet alone, it's $239. As usual, let me give you the bottom line up front. This is a beautiful, compact and portable tablet. The build quality seems quite solid. One of the main selling features is there is official support for Google Play Store, so you can install whatever ebook app that you want. Overall performance seems to be smooth enough as long as you are not loading huge PDFs. So this 7-inch e-reader is best used for reading text due to the size. Because this is color e-ink, the canvas has some grain to it, so it's not as clean compared to just black and white e-ink readers. Overall, when reading, the text looks pretty sharp to me. One noticeable downside to this display is the e-ink canvas is kind of gray, and now it's not that obvious because I have the front light enabled. If I disable the front light, you can see this is kind of dark. On a bright day, the gray looks alright, as in I can still see good contrast between the text against the canvas, but you will get much better visual quality if you enable the front light. So for me, even during daytime, I will definitely enable some front light. Due to the limited size, this tablet is not ideal for reading comics because the size of the text is kind of small, and if you want to zoom in and out regularly to just read, it's kind of inconvenient. I will talk more about the color quality later, and the color quality will vary depending on which refresh mode you choose. And depending on which refresh mode you choose, there may be more or less ghosting or image retention. Let's see how this page actually looks when I refresh or redraw the page. And you can see the colors are actually really good if you choose the highest visual quality. And now it drops back down because of the e-ink settings that I have set. This tablet can be used to take notes, but the note-taking performance is not ideal due to latency. And I'll talk more about note-taking later. Battery life is around 8 hours if you are doing a variety of tasks, in addition to just reading on this tablet. But if you are just reading, you can probably get 10 hours or more. So the bottom line is this tablet is really meant for reading text. This is not ideal for reading comics or PDFs because of the limited size. Oh, there is the web browser as well, but the performance is not as instantaneous compared to normal Android tablets because after all, this is still an e-ink device. Alright, now let's take a look at the items included with the box. If you buy the tablet with the case and the pen, you will actually get two boxes. This one has the case and this one has the tablet and the pen. The presentation is quite simple, so let me just take out this box. There's the warranty card, quick start guide, USB-A to USB-C charging cable, 2 extra pen tips, the pen tip remover, SIM ejection tool, and the pen. There is no charger included, but you can use any phone charger to charge the tablet. If I'm not wrong, this pen is using USI technology, which I'm not a fan of because it's not as accurate compared to Wacom EMR pens, which are also quite commonly used for e-ink tablets. So this pen is powered by a battery. The battery is included, thankfully, and this is AAA. Based on my experience with other pens that also use such batteries, the battery life can last for many months. There is no eraser at the back. Now the build quality of this pen is extremely solid because it's almost metal throughout. This pen has to be powered on before you use it, and this is the power button. So if you press this the first time, a red light will show to tell you that the pen is on, and this other button is the eraser button, and these two buttons are not customizable. The pen tip is quite firm and has almost no movement when in contact with the writing surface. When writing, there is palm rejection. This pen supports pressure sensitivity, but I'm not sure how many levels of pressure, and there is no tilt sensitivity. Let's look at the design of the case. So this is a hard case, and this exterior, this is probably some PU leather material. The pen holder is attached to the front of the cover, and if you put the pen here, the pen can actually slide through because the pen has no clip or extrusion to prevent the pen from sliding through. So this pen holder is actually holding the pen using friction, and I mean, this is, I would say, tight, but not tight enough. And the cover moves because it's not attached magnetically to the front of the tablet. Now, even with the case installed, the tablet is quite thin, and the back is also made with this PU leather material. The interior has this soft texture, which I'm not sure how to describe it, but it feels nice. To remove the tablet, you have to unhook it from the 4 hooks at the corner. So to remove this quickly, you can't just take it out, you have to unhook it. And installation is easy. And even with the case, the weight is still manageable, and I can definitely hold this for long periods of time for reading without any issues. Now, the cover does support auto wake and sleep. I did not set a password for this. This tablet does not have fingerprint or face unlock. For this review, I have to open and close the cover repeatedly, so that's why I did not set the password. Without the fingerprint sensor or unlock, it's kind of inconvenient. Okay, let's take a look at the design of the tablet. And this is a good looking tablet. Corners are rounded off and the edges are beveled, and the bezels, as you can see, is quite thin on these 3 sides, thicker here where the page flip buttons are. This is 7mm thin, so it's quite thin, and the weight is 140 grams. That's the USB-C charging port, and you can use this to transfer data into the device. And that's the speaker, which is, I would say, loud enough, but the audio quality is hollow. One downside of having the USB-C port on the left side instead of beneath is when you have this tablet in the case, you have to open the case in order to charge the tablet. This is the top, where there is only the power button. The right side has nothing, and the bottom has a mic, if I'm not wrong. And here at the bottom right, there is a SIM tray that can hold a microSD card. This is the back, and it's made with plastic. There is this leather-like pattern or design, and it feels nice. And here at the edge we have some parallel lines. So this is a rather clean and simple design. And now let's take a look at the display. So this is a 7-inch color e-ink display. The screen technology is Kaleido 3, and the screen density for black and white is 300 dpi, and for color it's 150 dpi. The colors look quite subtle, and they are obviously not as vibrant compared to LCD displays, so this is not surprising. This is just the limit of color e-ink displays right now. So let's take a look at the home page. So on the left side there is this navigation bar, and you can switch between different sections. So this is the App Center page where I have all the apps. Here you can find Google Play Store already installed, and you will find all the apps that you install on this page. The first section is meeting records, which you can use to take notes, and I don't actually use this, so Sorry guys, this is not a very detailed review. So the second section is notes, and this is where you can create your own notes. You can choose from the different templates, and you can just, write more on this later. So let's go back to the home page. Oops. Oh, let me just swipe up. It's easier. Okay, under library is where all your imported files or ebooks will be sorted automatically. So these are some files that I have transferred over from my computer using a cable connection. You can also install cloud storage services or apps such as OneDrive, Google Drive, and import or download from those apps into the tablet. I have tried connecting this tablet with a cable to my Mac for file transfer, but the Android file transfer app just does not work. So if you're using a Mac, you have to upload your files onto the cloud and download from the cloud into the tablet. And in storage is where you can find all the files that are not located in the library. And this is the App Center. Let me just scroll down. Oops, you can see me adjusting the warm light because I actually have a slider by the side to adjust the warm light, which is quite sensitive. So under Office is where you can, create Office documents. This is DOC document, Excel, PowerPoint. This is voice translation. This is cloud, which requires an account with Bigme, and this is task list. At the top, you can find the home button, and this is the e-ink center where you can have access to all the e-ink settings. And this here, Bigme needs to do more to refine the OS and the user interface because the e-ink settings is still here when I press the app switcher. So let me just close this. Yeah, so if I press the e-ink center, you can see it's here. But if I switch to the screen with the apps, you can see this is still here. It doesn't disappear automatically. So I have to close this manually. So this is the app switcher, which will show you all the apps that are currently in memory. And there is 4 gigs of RAM in this tablet. And this is the page with all the apps. This is the settings page. And this is the control panel from the right side. You can also get to this panel by swiping down here. That's the back button, day, time, Wi-Fi connection, and battery life. Let's look at the other shortcuts you can get from the control panel. So you can access the e-ink center here as well. There is global handwriting feature, which will sort of improve latency with third-party writing apps, but it's not that effective in my opinion. There is split screen mode that I do not use on this small display. You can take screenshots. There is Miracast, record screen, airplane mode. You can enable or disable touch. There is screen rotation. You can disable this or you can set it to auto rotate. Let's take a look at the settings. So you can't actually customize much with the pen. So let me just skip to the page up and down button. And these buttons only work with the default ebook reader with the app, so you cannot use them with, for example, the Kindle app or the Libby app. So for sleep time, you can adjust from 1 minute to disable or 1 hour. I have set the tablet to never shut down. If I want to conserve power, I will just enable airplane mode. And I think there are more settings, but many of these are pretty straightforward. Gesture settings is useful because you can set the left edge and the right edge to adjust brightness, volume, or some other thing. So I have set the right edge to adjust the front light or the cold light. Yeah, so here you can see the light changes. So this is very convenient. If you don't like the office style user interface with the navigation bar by the left, you can actually switch it to the typical Android style homepage with all the apps. Under menu manage, you can enable or disable some of those sections that I have shown you earlier. So let me just disable meeting notes, which I do not use, and office. There's one software feature that I like, and it's the navigation bar, and it's actually hidden on the page somewhere. Just look for a little hidden circle here and press it, and these are shortcuts, 9 shortcuts that you can customize. So if you want to refresh a page, you can set a shortcut to refresh the page and do it here. And you can move the navigation bar to anywhere on the screen. So this is something that I use all the time. Let's look at the front light. So you can adjust the brightness and also the color temperature of the lights. I have already set the shortcut to adjust the lights using the sliders by the left and right side. So this is the maximum brightness. And from what I can see, the front light is quite even. Let me adjust the color temperature. So now this is noticeably warmer. And you can slide down. Oops, I'm sliding the navigation bar, so maybe I should switch over to the Android UI, which is more convenient. Yeah, okay, now let me just reduce that. Another way to adjust the front and warm light is to just swipe down from the top right corner and use the pre-programmed shortcuts. It's actually easier to adjust the front light with these shortcuts. So now the lights are disabled, and during daytime it's actually better to have some front light as well because the e-ink canvas is kind of gray. So now we have 30 out of 32 levels, and this is the night mode where we have some warm light, 10 out of 32, and this is when you're in the bed and other customizable settings. I don't think I have covered everything regarding the OS, the UI, and also the software. Anyway, for me, when I use an e-reader, I just use it for reading and sometimes to take notes. I don't really use the other software features. Okay, let's take a look at the color quality and page refresh, image retention, ghosting issues. So this is a comic book from Kindle, and the colors actually look alright. Now if you use Kindle app, one thing you have to know is if you swipe down or if you tap the page like this and you adjust the e-ink settings from the top navigation button here, these settings will not affect the e-ink settings for some reason. So if you want to adjust the e-ink settings for the Kindle app or some other e-book apps that they are using, you cannot use the e-ink center here at the top navigation bar. You have to use the e-ink center from the control panel here, which you can see is exactly the same thing as this, but this does not work for some third-party ebook apps. Let's go through some of the e-ink settings you can change. By the way, I did not test everything. For me, I just used the pre-programmed shortcuts here, which is easier. To compare the color quality from the different refresh modes, I will start with comic, which in my opinion has the best visual quality or best colors. So this is comic. So here you can see the colors actually look pretty good. The sharpness is good. I can still read the text and see everything very clearly. There is good clarity. The main downside or limitation here is the 7-inch display is not ideal for reading comics due to the small font size. So let's flip a page and you can see there is flickering. There is this page flip animation which is not that smooth due to the refresh rate. The colors actually look pretty good and I see minimal ghosting. Okay, next let's switch to using the magazine mode. Let's go to the E center and tap here. magazine. So once I switch over, let's go back to comic. So once I switch over, I can see slight differences. The colors seem to be more washed out. So for comic, you can get slightly more saturation, slightly more vibrance. And this is the video mode. Now notice the highlight on this cloak here. Notice the highlight because there is light source here, there is the highlight here. Oops, let me double tap again. Okay, notice the image retention, the ghosting. Anyway, pay attention to this highlighted area here, and this is the shaded area here. Let me switch over to comic and close this. Notice the highlighted area is not that obvious now because in this mode, in the comic mode, they are trying to throw a lot of ink in it and we don't see that contrast anymore. So let's switch over to magazine mode and have a look and compare again. Let me just refresh the page. Oops. Okay. So with magazine mode, you can actually see a bit more contrast. Let me just reduce this. For magazine mode, the colors are not as vibrant. And also when I flip the pages, there is still the flickering. And I can also see image retention, which is quite obvious. So if you want the best visual quality, you may have to go with the comic refresh mode to get vibrant colors, but you may sacrifice some contrast. Next, let's go with default. Okay, let me close this navigation bar. Okay, so with default, as I flip the page, notice the page moving animation is much smoother. By the way, the physical page flip buttons here cannot be used with the Kindle app. Okay, and the visual quality actually looks pretty good, decent. There is some image retention just like the magazine mode, but at least here with the default mode, there is no page flicker, which can annoy some people. And you can see some contrast here as well. At least you can see two shades of red here, but you can also see some image retention. And lastly, let's switch over to video mode. Now you can watch videos on this tablet, but I don't recommend you do so because the refresh rate is not that high. Okay, so with video mode, notice the page moving animation is much smoother. Color quality suffers, well, which is to be expected. If you look closely, there is actually more grain and color noise in the mid-value areas. For example, you can see some color noise in this shaded area here and also on the clothes and in the shadow area of the face. You can see those little dots there. And this is the comic refresh mode for comparison, and you can see those grainy textures, they are no longer visible. So if you want to read comics, my advice would be get a larger display. You can also set the full refresh frequency. For example, if you set it to 4, the page will redraw after 4 page flips. But this does not work with Kindle. Let's see if the full page refresh actually works with the default e-reader app. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it refreshes at page 4. If you read huge PDF files, such as this that I am trying to read, you can see the hourglass icon load before the page will load. If you flip too fast, the hourglass or the loading icon will appear again. Okay, now it works fine. Okay, now it appears. Yeah. Anyway, with normal reading speed, and you press, that should not happen, but this is something that can happen. Since we are looking at this black and white comic now, let's look at the visual quality of black and white e-ink. So the black has pretty good contrast against the e-ink canvas, but bear in mind that I have some front light enabled. The black seems sharp enough, And this is the quality of black and white text that you can expect on this tablet. It looks sharp enough. By the way, I'm using the comic refresh mode to show you the text because you get the best looking text with this refresh mode, and you can see the text actually looks pretty good. But this is actually not as good compared to pure black and white e-ink readers. If you look really close, you can actually see some grain on the e-ink canvas, which is not that obvious in this video. And just for comparison purposes, this is the text on a pure black and white e-ink canvas. So you can see there is no grain with the e-ink canvas and the text looks really sharp. The contrast is fantastic. And this is without any front light. Let's switch over to the Bigme, and I can see some grain, and you can see the edges of the text. It's not as sharp as earlier. Anyway, for reading, I have absolutely no issues with this look. This looks pretty good to me. You can see the page moving animation is kind of slow because of the refresh mode comic that I'm using. If you want better or faster refresh mode, you can just switch. Let's switch over to default, which will let you flip the pages faster. And this still looks pretty good, but there is slight image retention. And now let's talk about the note-taking experience. Oops. This pen will power off automatically after some time, and I find that it powers off too quickly, so let's just power it on again. So this is the note-taking experience, which is affected mostly by the latency. As I draw this line, you can see the line trying to catch up with the pen tip, and this is actually a diagonal line, so you can see some diagonal line wobble and jitter. Let me just undo this. Let's write something. So when we are writing, we are usually writing quite fast, and that's where we can see the latency. When writing, I actually cannot see any of the line jitter and wobble because when writing, we are usually writing quite fast, and when writing fast, we don't see the line wobble or jitter. Let me write a bit slower to see if it can capture my handwriting style accurately. It's alright. Now, if the pen has better latency, my handwriting style can be captured even more accurately. To erase, you can press the side button here, the one further from the pen tip, do a selection and erase. This display is laminated, but there is still a little gap between the line and the pen tip. Now from this top-down angle, it's not that obvious. From this side angle, you will see how obvious the gap is. Let me just hold the pen vertically now. Can you see the gap? You can even see the shadow of the pen tip on the e-ink canvas. The last thing I want to say is battery life. So I've been recording this video review for more than 2 hours now, and the battery life dropped 20%. I have the front light on most of the time, and I'm not using the internet much except to download some ebooks. So based on my calculations, you can get around 8 hours of battery life with this e-reader if you are just reading. If you're not using the internet at all, the battery life can probably last much longer. So to conclude, this is good for reading books, for reading text, but not so much for reading PDFs or comics due to the limited size. Alright, if you guys have other questions regarding this tablet, let me know in the comment section below. And if you are interested to buy this, you can check out the links that I have for you in the video description. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye.